What is up, everyone? Very sorry. It's been... Oh, hi, Alex. Yeah, Alex, this is my basement. Yeah, chilling in the basement. So very sorry. I haven't gotten anything out in the last couple weeks. I didn't realize until yesterday that it had gone that long. So, oh, you can see my washer in the background. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, I didn't really get any construction done. The plan was that last week to, or the week before, to get a washer, move it down here, move these washers out, give them to someone who needs them, and then proceed with the floor and hopefully get like one tester wall up here. So I have all the framing stuff done. I just have to get a chance to do it. So I've been doing house calls in New York, kind of, for the place that I'm doing work for. So yeah, can't really talk about it, but yeah, it's good stuff. Yay, positive, good company, good people. I've been enjoying it so far. So yeah, hard work, hotel stays, all that type of deal, but it means I haven't gotten a whole lot done here. So I realized that I had to pull out a 3D printer, and I have 3D printers, two in the living room. I have one at the shop, I have partially one in the basement. I have some in storage. Like they're just, it's kind of like when you're a car guy, you have like, you don't really have a car that always works. You have like multiple cars that they're 90% there, same deal with these. So I had to hammer one of them into shape to, oh, my arm's getting tired already. I should just go and order one of those cell phone stands off of freaking Amazon. But yeah, just haven't had a chance to sit down and think. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, 3D printers. So I had to do some 3D printing this week, so I had to just grab one that was in pretty good shape. And the KP3S modified one that I abruptly, didn't do the last video for before I had to move out. Well, I guess I abruptly moved out. I had filmed all the video stuff. I just haven't had a chance to edit it because it's on my machine upstairs. Oh, I am making progress though. My Unraid server is now down here on the ground. So it's one step closer to being useful. What else can you see in this picture? It's an old oscilloscope. Yeah, I've talked about that one before. That's my old Hitachi scope. One of my old analog oscilloscopes that I like. These have a gorgeous display on them. That's why I like these so much. Anyway, so I figured while I was pulling this Ender out and trying to get it to work, I'd show you the state it's in, because I did a whole bunch of experiments using the Ender as a guinea pig during lockdown, and those are all on this Unraid server down here. Hopefully they're on this Unraid server, because it fell in shipping. But, it wasn't plugged in. The hard drives weren't spinning, so worst case scenario, it maybe cracked something, but I'm hoping all the hard drives are still intact. I have backups of most of it regardless, because I learned from the last time. But anyways, yeah, so let's just talk about like what the state the Ender is right here, and then hopefully someday I'll get to pull up all that old, lockdown footage and hammer it into something that's at least interesting to some people here. I know the Ender's old hat, but I didn't have a whole lot else. It was either this or talk about like building my bike. I still may talk about, putting together my city bike, because some people, actually a surprising number of people who are interested in techie things are also cyclists. So yeah, that might be fun for, 10 of you out there. 10 likes. Or are they doing away with the likes? They're doing away with the dislikes. The algorithm's going to ban me if I say anything else. Yeah, so we're just going to take a snapshot of how the Ender is right now over here. I know I keep pointing, it's right here. So yeah, how the Ender is right here, and that's going to be the video for the week. So I hope it's fun for 3 of you out there. I had to do this one in PETG. I don't usually print in PETG because, as you know, it's kind of can be fiddly, but for this particular thing, I had to use this. So anyway, got that there. You can see the guide, the lovely guide here, C-clamp on top of the Ender. Now, the freaking Ender, I just had to use it in the state that it was in, except for the fact that I changed the nozzle out. Ooh, there's schmutz on here. Oh, that's not coming off. Yeah, I changed the nozzle out. So this is a 0.6 millimeter volcano nozzle. It was a 0.4 millimeter volcano nozzle. I'll talk about the Hotend in a minute. So this is, I was messing around with the silent Ender for a while, so don't do this at home. I opened this all up for air cooling. There's a high probability of touching something in there and getting a nasty shock or a nasty dead. So obviously you don't want that. But yeah, I work around live wires all the time, so I'm not overly concerned. But yeah, definitely a safety hazard there. I had a large PC fan fit on here, but I switched it over to the King Rune power supply. I'll talk about that presumably whenever I get to the video. This is out of an old Yamaha solid state PA amplifier, so this just had 3 MOSFETs bolted onto it, so I just bolted it on the bar where the MOSFETs are sitting, and I put this tag on here so I could hit it with a IR what do you call it, infrared no touch thermometer type thing, and get a decent reading without having to worry about the reflectivity of the aluminum. So yeah, enough about the power supply, that's boring. The rest of this, I can't remember if I talked about these belt tensioners or not, but I made these. They're 3-piece tensioners. It's not the best design in the world, but it does the job, and it's comes up with better prints than, you know, the tensioners you used before, because this has that crazy belt with the ends on it here, so it's tough to get it tensioned properly. So I made one for that axis, and I made one for the y axis as well. And the reason these were, I don't remember what happened here, but I just didn't touch it. The reason all these marks are on it is because at one point in time, I rigged up a strain gauge to stick on the end, and I was doing an experiment with seeing like what belt tension produced artifacts and yada, yada, yada. I did use toothed idlers here. I did a comparison with smooth idlers versus toothed idlers and a couple different types of belt design. This might actually be a Gates belt on here, I don't remember, or an imitation Gates belt. But yeah, regardless, what was I saying? ADD much? What else do we have? Let's see what electronics are. Actually, let's see what firmware is on here first. Let me plug it in. This fan is dying. You can hear that. That's a sleeve bearing fan, so. I have to replace that with a ball bearing fan at some point in time. Oh, I missed the firmware version now. I guess I could go into the menu, but I've already restarted, so. Yeah. Oh, we were just 2.0 bug fix, so I don't exactly know what version that is. This is definitely old, though. It's probably like 6 months old or so. Let me see, about printer. Board info. Yep, so this is the first version of the SKR E3 dip. Nothing fancy with the thermistors, just regular old thermistors. Hopefully have that backed up somewhere. Electronics wise, we already know what's in here, but let's go ahead and take a look anyway. So yeah, Big Tree Tech SKR E3 dip version. Oh, it is not version 1, it is version 1.1. Hey. Then we have Trinamics. What are you? You are 2209s, so it's 4 2209s. You can see I did some little custom weirdness in here. Redid all the cables, put tips on all of them, so those are all mounted very nicely, as opposed to you know, the original state, which I did not approve of, but you know, who am I? Underneath, hopefully you can see some of this. I decided to try out a 3-point system. So you can see we have 1 wheel over here, we have 2 wheels over here, and then for tensioning, I went with the silicone gummy rubber pads as opposed to the springs. That actually had a big effect on printing quality. I kind of knew it would, but you know, it's best just to get it down. And you probably can't see the spider, the frame down here, but I cut that out of 1/8 inch, well, that's more than 1/8 inch thick. I don't remember how thick that is. I think it's 5 millimeters thick carbon fiber. Yeah, just for kicks and giggles, and because it was locked down, it was tough to get any kind of material, and I already happen to have a bunch of carbon fiber around. Cut that down, insulated it with a combination of natural cork and aluminum foil, which is probably not the best kind, and silicone. I think there's a high temp pad over there in the middle. You'll notice that there's no Z-end stop. Yeah, I was messing around with lots of different print surfaces. You can see I just went back to the basic the basic stock Ender sticker right on top of the aluminum plate. This actually gives a real good result when you have this nice thick aluminum plate there. It's fairly even. I think Thomas Solander did a video about that, so it's not really worth repeating, but regardless, that did end up fairly successful. The only problem is, like, since I'm printing in PETG, which tends to stick to everything, I've torn up chunks of it just getting these off of here, so I have to keep moving the stupid prints around the spots that I tear off with the PETG. So the way that homing is done, you may or may not be able to see down here, there's a little screw, and that ties into the motherboard, and it grounds, the circuit is completed on the aluminum bed. So there's another tied into this bundle. There's another electrode that just kind of screws into the bed right there. So I have this double alligator clip on the bed, and then I use this aluminum foil to home it. So when I home it, I just kind of like stick this underneath it. The hot end comes down and goes tap, tap, and then, you know, it's fine. But when you do your first layer, sometimes you have to, oh, can I get into it here? Or can I only do that when it's printing? And I guess I can only do it when it's printing. But I have baby stepping turned on here. So when it's printing, during the first layer, I'll just look and see how it is, and then just baby step it up and down a little bit, and it's fine. It's a pain in the butt, you know, it adds time to the first step, but I was experimenting with a whole bunch of different beds and a whole bunch of different hot end options, and I didn't want to have to mess around with the Z-screw and level the bed every single time, so this was a decent compromise. Let's get to the extruder. Look at this freaking nightmarish mess of wires, huh? So this just clips right on. And like I said, this fan is dying. It was just super cheap. It was the only one I had at the time. And then this blower, I was printing in ABS, so I didn't actually need the blower at all. You can see I just sort of double-sided taped that onto there. But I got to a part where it was drooping on particular overhangs, so I thought I would get a little bit of air moving. So I just took this here. This is not PWM controlled, so all I did was use the dropping resistor, and I just messed around with values until I found the fan speed that worked for that particular print, and then that's just on there now. So I have a ton of these little clip-on shields for E3D type ends, so lots and lots of different cooling options. This just happens to be what was on there. You can see in here I have some of the fan guides. That little thing right, oh, hopefully I'm not blowing into the microphone. Just those little fins right there. I mean, they took like 5 or 6 different iterations before I found something that worked. But man, the static pressure pushing through this is so much better. But yeah, those are experiments that I did during the lockdown as well. So maybe I'll dig those up too and do that video. So since this is hanging off here, let's take a look at the hot end. This is a J-Head E3D clone. I think it's clone. I'm pretty sure it's not one of the genuine ones. The genuine ones are over there in the box somewhere. But anyhow, regular volcano block. I think this is smooshed onto there. Silicone sleeve. I just put the cotton over top because this sleeve was sagging down for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't fit properly. So I just put that on there to kind of tape it into place. This is a high watt heater. I don't remember what the wattage is. I think it's 40. But regardless, it regulates the temperature very well, and it heats up very fast. Let me turn this off so that freaking fan isn't being so annoying. Whew, that's a terrible noise. Anyway, yeah, so I printed up this plate, and it just bolts onto the standard Ender, you know, carriage. I had replaced this carriage at one point in time, but I put this back for some reason. I don't know why, and then I just had to bolt the carriage on here because I didn't feel like printing out another one. But these are the ones you get for like, you know, 12, 15 bucks or something. They were super ridiculously cheap, and bolted just the standard Ender extruder onto that. So technically, with this, you can go with a smaller, like pancake style stepper, and I have a bunch of those. This just happened to be on the machine at the time, so I popped it on, no problem. You can see I printed enough with it that there's a lot of wear on the nylon gears. It's not slipping yet, but there is backlash, and that's usually why I'm not super up on geared extruders, because you do eventually end up with backlash. But, you know, while they work great. The thumb tension isn't spectacular. Obviously, it's not as nice as the real Bondtech extruder, but it's better than some of the other options I tried, which hopefully I'll show you those videos as well. Anything else wacky about this? No. Yeah. So other than the potential fire hazard there, it's pretty good. These are all the PWM connections. So if I have to connect other things, we have always on in different voltages, and then like PWM. So yeah, these are just ready for other fans if I put other fans on there. I think that's it. So that's the current state of the Ender. It went through about 50 different iterations over lockdown. So when people ask, like, you know, why do you bother talking about cheap printers? There are better printers for a couple $100 more that do so much more. Or why don't you build something, you know, fantastical? This is the reason, because you never know when you're going to have to just have something cheap, tear it apart, build a Hotend for ABS, tear that down, put a PETG Hotend situation on there, you know, volcano, not volcano, whatever. And that's it for this week. So tune in again maybe next week or the week after, or who freaking knows, for another episode of Alex is super crazy busy and the holidays are coming up and I don't have time to make videos that a lot of people are interested in. So here's a bunch of crap. It's not crap. It's fun. Admit it. You enjoyed it. All right. See you.